Welcome to our episode of Biblical Archaeology, From the Ground Down. Presented by Bible Interact and hosted by Dr. George Sparks. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of the Bible from leading experts in the field of archaeology.
Well, good morning, people. My name is Dr. George Sparks, and this is Biblical Archaeology From the Ground Down, sponsored by Bible Interact. Today, I have with me Dr. David Graves. He received his PhD from the University of Aberdeen, Scotland, a native of Canada. He has been involved in teaching the Bible and archaeology for more than 35 years. He is a retired assistant professor from Liberty University, Rawlings School of Divinity in Lynchburg, Virginia. He has taught archaeology at Oxford University, England, provided tours in the Ashmolean, as well as the British Museum, has traveled extensively throughout the Middle East, been involved in the Mount Ararat research, and was a consultant to the National Geographic production. He has also been involved in the excavations at Qumran, the Temple Mount, as well as Shiloh. He was also part of the excavation team in 2017, which was identified as a Qumran cave labeled Q12. David has also been a supervisor at the Tel El Hammam excavation, and he is a member of NEAS, Near Eastern Archaeological Society. He is author of a number of books published through his company, Electronic Christian Media, ECM. In addition, he has authored a number of journal articles on the Bible and archaeology, most available through academia.edu.
Welcome to our exploration of the Pool of Siloam, a significant archaeological discovery that sheds light on biblical history and its historical and religious significance in Jerusalem. The Pool of Siloam, meaning sent in Hebrew, was part of Jerusalem's ancient water system built by King Hezekiah. Until 2004, scholars believed that the Pool of Siloam was located at this Byzantine pool, known as the Birka Silwan. However, recent archaeological discoveries in 2004 have cast doubt on this theory. The newly discovered pool, known as Birkat el Hamra, offers a tangible connection with the Pool of Siloam and the biblical era. It is located in the Silwan neighborhood of East Jerusalem. The ongoing excavations at Birkat el Hamra, some of which are visible in the highlighted yellow excavation square from 2023, continue to reveal layers of history, enriching our understanding of this ancient site. Archaeologists now believe that the Pool of Siloam is located at this site. This is where steps leading down to a pool have been discovered, along with coins that date the pool to the 1st century. These discoveries indicate that the pool was in use during the first Jewish revolt against Rome. Scholars debate the function of the Pool of Siloam. Some believe it was a Jewish ritual pool, known as a mikvah, necessary for ceremonial cleansing before ascending the steps to the temple and present their sacrifice, while other scholars suggest it was used for domestic purposes as a swimming pool. The Pool of Siloam is mentioned in the Gospel of John, where Jesus is recorded having a blind man by sending him to wash in the pool. A detailed reconstruction of the Pool of Siloam by Lean Rittmeyer based on archaeological findings helps us visualize its historical importance. The Pool of Siloam remains an important site for both historical and religious reasons. It is a testament to the ancient water system of Jerusalem, from the Gihon spring through Hezekiah's tunnel that fed it with water, and connection to the healing ministry of Jesus. This and many other discoveries with academic references can be found in our books listed on our website smyrnian.blogspot.com and available on amazon.com.
Welcome to our program. I believe today you're going to talk about the Pool of Siloam. Of course, we already talked about that. That's why your slide is the excavation, and my slide is just really pretty.
Yeah, yours is from about 2003 when I was there, and that's a good shot of the entrance into the Hezekiah's tunnel. And mine is the last year when they were doing some excavations there, and I have a few slides from this year. So yeah, we'll jump into the Pool of Siloam and see why that's significant to the Bible, and should be a good talk. Pool of Siloam. It's called Birka el Hamara. Now, this is the one in 2004. I think I said 2003, but in 2004, this is what it looked like. You can see the entrance there to Hezekiah's tunnel, and they're putting some sewer systems in all along the ground, and they discovered these steps. And we go from the known to the unknown. So you follow the steps, and lo and behold, they found what is believed to be now the Pool of Siloam. When you go through the door, you get into Hezekiah's tunnel. This is what Hezekiah's tunnel looks like inside. It's been etched out of the stone, and here we have some stone walls. So this is the upper section of it, but it goes down deep. And then this is me back in 2004, and I'm walking through the tunnel. And 2 Kings 20:20 says, as for the other events of Hezekiah's reign, all of his achievements, and how he made the pool and the tunnel by which he brought water into the city. And so that's the relevance of Hezekiah's tunnel. Brings water from the Gihon spring that feeds the water systems for the city of Jerusalem. And people may know the story about how David used the tunnel to actually breach the security of the people living in Jerusalem at the time, and how he walked through this tunnel and brought his soldiers, and they were able to breach it and conquer the city. The other interesting thing was we have Hezekiah's tunnel Siloam inscription. And so this is the inscription that was on the wall inside of the tunnel. And it says that the workers could hear each other. They started from either end of this tunnel to create it, and the water flowed from the spring toward the reservoir for 1,200 cubits. And so they chiseled through the rock. They could hear their voices on each side, and they cut through, and bang, they found each other's tunnel on either side. So that's why you see a bit of a jog sometimes in the tunnel. So until 2004, most scholars accepted a small, narrow Byzantine pool called the Biblical Siloam as the traditional site of the Pool of Siloam. And they built a Byzantine church there, and it's adjacent to the Pool of Bethsaida. And so this is what most had considered to be the Pool of Siloam. They associated it with the healing miracle of Jesus mentioned in John. And the Byzantine church was built on the location by the empress in AD 400. It's depicted on the Madaba map, and that dates to about 575 AD. So in this early period, the Byzantine Christians recognized that there was a Pool of Siloam. They thought this was the one, and they built a church over it. Now a Muslim mosque is located there, but originally it was a Byzantine church. Like so many churches, they get taken over by the Muslims to build a mosque. However, Bahat concludes early on in 1994, there is no available proof that the Second Temple period Siloam pool was situated at the present day site, and it is more plausible that the pool was situated in the location of the nearby Birkat el Hamra, that is the Red Pool, where there is now a flourishing vegetable garden. And that's kind of an interesting comment, because this was before the pool was located by the workers. So very early on in 1994, Bahat said that it was located where they discovered it, a large pool that was really unknown to him, other than that it was near the flourishing vegetable garden. And that happens to be that vegetable garden. Actually, there's fruit trees there. I was in a Greek Orthodox church beside it. There's the Madaba map and the location of the Siloam church. There's the Byzantine church and the Madaba map. The Madaba map is in Jordan, in a church up in the city of Madaba in Jordan. and it has the floor of the church with a large mosaic, not just of this, but actually of the entire Holy Land, all laid out on the floor. And the site that we dug at Tel El Hammam was on it, I believe, and I published on that. So it's a very informative map that dates very early, from around, the 6th century AD. That's what the old Byzantine pool looks like, another shot of it. So there is water in it. It's fed by this doorway here. It's fed by the water system, Hezekiah's tunnel as well. So this is what it looks like. All the steps they uncovered. There's the pipe they were putting through for the sewage. And this leads into Hezekiah's tunnel. So in 2004, repairs to a sewage line less than 200 feet southeast of the Biblical Pool of Siloam caught the attention of the archaeologists. As soon as they find archaeological remains, they call in the IAA, the Israeli Antiquities Authorities, and these two archaeologists, Ronnie Reich and Eli Shukran, they came to investigate it, see what was up. And lo and behold, they uncovered all of these steps. Now, when I was there in 2004 as well, 2004, this was what I saw when I visited. This is my photograph that I took. Oh, no, sorry, that's Todd Boland's. I had one that was with a lot of people in it. His didn't have any people. So I used Todd's image of it. The remains of the steps lead down to the pool. So you go down the steps down to the pool area. And it was discovered 20 feet wide. So that's like six meters. Herodian steps, they're cut stones, which led from the pool to the street level up here, and then up to the temple, which is just up the hill from us. It confirms the Pool of Siloam mentioned in John, I believe, and that's based on the coinage and the pottery embedded in the mortar. The structure was securely dated to the first Jewish revolt against the Romans, AD 66 to 70. And, AD 70 is when the city of Jerusalem was taken by the Romans, and they destroyed the temple, carted off the items that were in the temple at the time, including the menorah. That's on the Arch of Titus in Rome. That became inactive after the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, and then, of course, it filled up with dirt over the years, and then they built, houses and things on top. The Greek Orthodox Church is on this side. I don't know if you can see. Can you see my arrow? My mouse? Pink. So on this side was a Greek Orthodox Church, and for a long time, they refused to have it excavated. They said no, and then they went to court, and then the Jewish court, Israeli court, said they had to allow them to excavate. So in 2003, last year, they started excavating the area. Its function is debated whether it was a ritual pool called a mikvah or a swimming pool. Some say it was a swimming pool. They don't debate that the pool was used in Jesus's day. So even if you don't believe that this is the Pool of Siloam, there is no doubt, based on the coins and the pottery, that it existed at the time of Jesus in the 1st century and was being used at that time period. Some say it was used as a cleansing pool. Others say it was used as a swimming pool. But it confirms the topographical accuracy of John. Connects, as I said, to Hezekiah's tunnel, provided the water for Jerusalem. And a mikvah, a ceremonial pool, it had to be running water. So they had to have water running in and then running out for it to be used for ceremonial purposes. This is Lane Rittmeyer's drawing of what it would have looked like based on the archaeology. You can see the steps going down, colonnade all around the outside. So pillars. This is the image that they have drawn, reproduced on the inside of the visitor center here at at the Pool of Siloam. You can see sheep. They're taking their sheep up to the temple with their children to do the sacrifice, and they've done their ceremonial cleansing here, the steps leading down to the pool with the colonnade, with the stoa, so you can sort of get an idea of what it looked like. And then, of course, Jesus is healing the blind man, which took place at the Pool of Siloam. This is a AI-generated image of the situation. Notice he's got 3 arms.
Oh,
This is what AI does. I took the time and removed this arm, and I forgot to upload the picture. I did it for the video, but I didn't replace it in the PowerPoint. But this is what AI does. But it gives
they had
you
to redo the miracle. That's funny.
It's right. He gave him 3 arms, healed his eyes, and then he gave him an extra arm.
The guy's still blind. But the other guy's got three arms.
Yeah.
Well, he could say, well, 3 arms, Jesus. Well, at least I don't have 6 fingers.
Well, he healed him, he's blind. So he says, how many hands do I have now?
Yeah. He says 3.
Anyway, you got to laugh at AI sometimes, the way they do things. But anyway, it gives everyone a sense of what it was like. For some, the miracle at the Pool of Siloam was merely a parable based on a play on words, which is kind of interesting. As you read some commentators, they say, well, it's called Siloam because that word means sent, and Jesus was sent as the light of the world to give light to the blind. So they spiritualize it. They don't take it as a literal pool. Well, we have a pool now in Jerusalem, and we believe that is the Pool of Siloam. With the discovery of the Birka el Hamara, there is no doubt that the symbolism which is present in the text is based on history and Jesus' eyewitness account of the sites in Jerusalem. So they were there, they saw it, they knew it, and we take it as such. It doesn't prove that the miracle happened from archaeology, but it does prove that there was a pool in Jerusalem at the time period that Jesus was there. So that's what it does prove. Whether it was the one that he used, we can't say with any kind of certainty. This is the one, but and this is what it looked like when I was there in 2004. You can see it. They just sort of pulled back some of the dirt. You see, this was all filled in with dirt, and then they pulled it all back to find the steps. And then this whole area was in the Greek Orthodox church monastery courtyard. They couldn't excavate for a while. They went to court, got permission, and then they began to do their excavations. And this is in 2023. This was last year. You can see the steps going down. They've built a spot where people can sit and watch, and visitors can come. They got a visitor platform, a walkway around. They don't have to walk on the steps, and they started excavating down here. You'll notice the heavy equipment. We generally don't use heavy equipment in archaeology, but they pulled off the top layer. I was pretty upset with that. I saw that. I said, they don't even have any archaeological squares. What are they doing? So this is a photo from Seth Adcock, who was there in 2023, showing how they have removed some of the dirt. So they're taking it down, trying to find those stones. There's another shot of it. You can sort of see some stones here as well. It looks like the other corner of it. These are some sandbags they put up there to reinforce it, prevent the walls from caving in. But I thought that was really interesting to see what they would find there in that corner. And you can see it is in a residential area. The church is right here. I pulled that away. There's another shot of it. There's the steps. That's what they initially discovered. So they're pulling this dirt away to find out what's down there. And you can see here we have a square. They've started to put squares in. I was thankful to see that. As an archaeologist, you always want to see squares. 6 meters by 6 meters, and there's a bulk there as well, a 2 meter or a 1 meter bulk. And so they're starting to put squares in and going down. They go from the known to the unknown. There's a little bit more of the work, how they've gone down deeper. 2024, that was last year, or this year, sorry. So this is what it looked like this year when John Delancey visited and posted these photographs. You can see that they have a covered area. So they've gone from this corner where they found the corner steps. So they've gone down from the known to the unknown. So we'll see how far it goes and what they're finding. You can see some bulk, a bulk here, a meter bulk. And so they're reading the stratigraphy down here. So they're going out now into this area. They'll take this area down probably eventually. It's simply been built with these yellow and white stones to support the wall, so they can drive down here to remove the dirt. And you can see how small this little shack looks from way up here. This is the Jewish revolt image of what it might have looked like. So that's the excavations at the Pool of Siloam. And I don't believe they've published very much so far. It'll be interesting to see what they publish and what they find in the remains. They found coins and pottery already in the upper steps, but who knows what they'll find down below. George, you have any questions?
Dating the steps, because they found coinage. Now, could we say it is first century AD and BC or AD?
AD, from what I understand.
All right. So then it wasn't built, possibly was not built during the time period of Herod the Great, because he possibly died in 4 BCE.
Well, they were using it, and they dropped the coins, of course, at that time period. I haven't read the report yet to find out the total period, but it could very well have been built prior in the Herodian period by King Herod. So, but it dates that early first century, BC to AD, I think.
Right. So you can easily identify that with the ministry of Jesus, as you said, as it's chronicled in the Gospel of John.
Yeah.
You said it possibly comes with the question mark, used as a mikveh for the readers. For those that are watching the program, a mikveh is actually a ritual bath that actually has certain constructions, depth, and also it has to be running, or what they call living water. So there's protocols for a ritual mikveh that are not required in a communal pool. And that's what Dr. David Graves was talking about.
Yes.
And one thing that makes me think of possibly it not being a mikveh is that as we get close to the temple, the south end of the temple, there already are a number of mikvahs in that vicinity. And if I was going to take a ritual bath for purity to go to the temple, I want to take it as close as I can to the temple, because if I have to go a great distance, I could become unclean by contact of other people not knowing. That would be one of my thoughts. And of course, it's just a hypothesis.
But
next, go ahead.
But to counter that, to tell you the devil's advocate, this pool is very close to the Temple Mount.
Okay.
And you have a large number of people that need to be cleansed that are going up to the temple to do their sacrifice, because recall, everybody's got to do that. So they have to accommodate a large volume of people, not only the priests, which I think the smaller specialized mikvot up nearer the Temple Mount would be probably dedicated, for those priests. And then you have this larger one that's also supplied with living water from Hezekiah's pool that would accommodate a larger number of people. So again, that debate goes on, and there's fine scholars on both sides. I've read both arguments on it, but
okay, that's fair enough. I just want to raise that out there for
that's good
possibilities, and also to explain the mikveh for the listening audience.
Sure.
Also, to me, when I go to a place like this, and I have not been there, but hopefully in the future I'll be able to take my son there. He's 13 now, and he'd be of an age to understand it and appreciate it.
Mm.
Is that if indeed this is the pool where Jesus healed the blind man, or where Jesus was, um, we could actually be at a location where Jesus walked.
Yes.
That to me would be fascinating, really.
Yeah.
Because we go to the Via della Rosa, and actually, I think that's like 20, 25 feet above the. Well, look how deep we are right here at this pool,
Yes.
above the street level, possibly at the time period of the first century AD of Jesus. So we go down and it's symbolic, it's traditional, the Via della Rosa, which leads to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Yeah.
There we get to, there are at least I know of one tomb in there that dates to the first century.
Yeah.
Not this. I want to be careful here. The decorated tomb of Jesus, of what they labeled the tomb of Jesus, but there's one I think in the Armenian section, a broken away section of the wall, where that is first century tomb, which is to me fascinating. I like to see the archaeology, when you read the gospel and it says how they were kind of like the disciples were coming to the tomb of Jesus, and one gets there before the other, and they stoop down to get in. And when you go to this tomb in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, you got to actually stoop down to get in, to take a look. It just brings the gospel to relevancy. And I'm associating this with the pool as well, because when we go to Jerusalem as possibly a Christian tour or a pilgrimage, I look at it as, what was this like 2,000 years ago? That's what we try to imagine. At least I do. But when I come to an excavation like this and it's down to that level, you see how fantastic. This is really a drastic difference from 10 years ago, when we thought that little section coming out from Hezekiah's tunnel, and they say, well, this is where the Pool of Siloam is, and we didn't know any different. And you say, wow, that's kind of tiny, isn't it, for these people and to share this little spot. But now when you see this massive structure, it actually makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's really fascinating to be there when you realize that these are stones that the steps were in existence at the time of Jesus, and he could very well have walked on those, particularly if, it is the Pool of Siloam and he was in that vicinity and sent the blind man there to bathe in it. So, and it's actually interesting that if it is a mikvot, that he would tell him to go cleanse himself in a ceremonial pool for his cleansing as well. So I have all of the articles that debate all of that in my book on the archaeology of the New Testament. And that has all of the references. I don't know if I showed an image of that in the beginning or not, my PowerPoint, but
okay.
The book is available and has all the footnotes and all the articles that you can look up. And I think Charles Worth from Princeton, there's a couple of other guys that are debating and arguing over this, but it's really fascinating to see the progress they've made in the last year with the archaeology there and what they're going to find in this coming year.
It also appears that they have accommodated the excavation for tourists. You got the steps, you got an awning overhead, and you can see on my site it actually looks like they got some flowers and everything. So it looks like a place that you would really want to go visit. I put that on my agenda. If I was going to Jerusalem, I want to visit this pool.
Yeah,
and in my mind, it'd be more. Now, of course, we're going to walk the Via della Rosa, just going into the old city. Eventually, if you walk the streets, you're eventually going to be on it. But I definitely put that on my agenda to go to this location. Maybe it'll be an active excavation at that time, because it looks like they separated, some steps for the tourist, and that you had that overlook
Yeah,
above it.
there's a
Yeah.
visitor gallery that they've built so that people can go and and check out what they're doing. So it'd be fascinating to be able to go there and see up close the excavation that they're doing at the Pool of Siloam. Now, the work they're doing in Jerusalem, around Jerusalem, by the Western Wall and so forth, yeah, you're quite a ways away from where they're excavating to see it clearly. But here you're got a close-up view. I want to point out one other thing with the argument. Some colleagues of mine have said that they don't believe that this is and whom I respect greatly, they don't believe this is the Pool of Siloam, because the pool would have the steps all around it. But initially, all they found was steps on one side. And this was just not a pool, but just steps leading down to something on one side. But during the excavation, you'll notice behind my head, they found a corner. So they don't have steps on just one side. They have steps on at least two sides. So you've got a corner, and I'm sure they're going to find perhaps another corner or steps on four sides, which would make
They find a diving board? It's important. You got a diving board too.
Well, that's right. Yeah, then it would be a swimming pool.
Then we need a slide, like a slip and slide, a tunnel slide. That would be great too.
That's right. Well, they could turn this into a theme park.
Yeah, see how it goes.
Jerusalem Water World.
Yeah, what the heck, hey, we're coming up with great ideas for them. What can we say?
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, this is really good. I a lot of fun. I've never been there. Last time I was there is just coming out of the tunnel to that small little pool, and that was it. And of course, I think I was reading the BAR, that the Biblical Archaeological Review, years ago, about them starting the excavation.
Yeah.
And finding coins that dated to that first century, as you said. So yeah, a coin can be easily dated, so that's hard to argue with there.
Yeah, yeah. So it was existent in that time period. It may not indicate when it was constructed, but it does indicate when it was used and when it at what time period it was in existence. Another thing to note is that the Hezekiah tunnel on the far end, when you come out into a concrete bunker that they've built around it. I have a photo of it. I didn't put it up, but so there's various exits and entrances into the Hezekiah tunnel. So it's quite an elaborate system underground that led the water to feed the water from the Gihon Spring for all of Jerusalem. So got to have water to live, and this was a critical part of their life and their survival in that region.
So I appreciate your PowerPoints, actually showing slides of how it might have looked, rather than just the corner and archaeological dig. That can be a little bit difficult to say, well, what did it look like back in Jesus' time? What was the people's experience there?
Yes.
And so the artist reconstructions helped out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. The drawing with the children, of course, was produced by the Israeli authorities for one of their displays there. The other one that I reproduced, he's an archaeological architect who lived in Jerusalem, has worked with all the archaeologists on site, knows the structures, how they should be shaped and formed, and what they would have looked like. So Lane Rittmeyer's drawings are archaeologically accurate, and he's a go-to guy for all of the architecture that I like to use.
Right. He's had a lot of excavations, and he's been around for quite a while.
Oh, long time.
And I'm sure if you go to some of the tourist locations, they actually sell, like artist reconstructions of what it looked like in ancient times. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be by Dr. Rittenmeyer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he gets around with his, and I think I met him once, but I know that he was at Tel El Hammam. He's
Yeah,
probably at Shiloh.
we worked
Yeah.
together at
Oh,
both sites, and know his wife Kathleen very well. She's got a doctorate as well, and she
mhm.
helps him. So yeah, he's been around. He worked with all the famous archaeologists in Jerusalem in the last 50 years. Um, he's from Holland originally, but now lives in Wales, and does his drawings and publishes them with probably, if you have a Bible with a picture in there, redrawing of a picture, it's probably Lane's drawing. So he's my go-to guy, and he's an actual architect. So he takes all of our drawings, he takes all of our plans, all of our measurements, and then he reconstructs it. He did my bath complex that I excavated at Tel El Hammam for 10 years.
That's
And
right, you did. Mhm.
did a drawing of that for me based on what we discovered. So it's not just his imagination. He actually does it to scale and what it should really look like. So, but you're right. It's good not, people sometimes don't have a good imagination to figure out what this mess of stones and rocks, behind our heads should really look like. And he helps bring that to life for us. And so he has been a great contributor to our understanding of biblical times.
Well, Dr. Graves, I appreciate your PowerPoint and your time with us. And I'm sure people, when things calm down, are going to be making tours to Jerusalem. I would definitely put this on my itinerary. Look and see if this is on your itinerary if you're going with the church group. And maybe you can, if it's not, suggest that when you're in Jerusalem, that you might be able to go see this one site. Definitely in a Christian perspective, when we think about where Jesus walks, we would love to go. I would love to go to a spot that is almost, I can't say 100%, undeniable that 2,000 years ago, that Jesus would have been there, possibly with his disciples.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah.
But you can use your imagination, and to me, that would always be a tremendous amount of fun, especially when you're at that location.
Some of our colleagues just landed in Jerusalem yesterday and started setting up the excavation work at Shiloh again. So there's a crew there now working in Jerusalem or at Shiloh outside of Jerusalem. They're staying in Jerusalem. And the excavation is going to be continuing this year. I think you had Gary Byers on your program, and he's there now as well. He landed and with Dr. Scott Stripling, and they're working at Shiloh as we speak.
Right. Yes, you're right. He was on the program. I don't think it's up yet. Yeah, it is. So if people want to, he talked about the Egyptian tomb of Beni Hassan.
Yes.
Really good presentation. And I emailed him 2 days ago, and he said they arrived or something along that line. So
Yeah.
I just said, like the situations right now, I said, guys, be careful and have a good time. And he sent an email back, just said, hey, thanks a lot. I'm sure they're extremely busy and there's a lot going on. But
Yeah.
you're right. What kind of passion is it to go on an excavation in the middle of what's happening?
Yes.
And then, our friend Thomas Winder, he's up there in the north.
Yeah.
And in the news, it just said that, they're being attacked by with the
Lebanon.
Hezbollah.
Yeah. Hezbollah in Lebanon. Yeah.
Yeah. And I forget how many rockets he said they experienced over in that direction. So
Yeah.
you got to really love it to go there in this type of environment. But here we got two acquaintances, really friends, that are over there right now. So, wow.
People are still traveling, and trust the Lord to keep people safe. But if you ever get to Jerusalem, the Pool of Siloam should be on your bucket list. And everybody wants to do the Hezekiah's tunnel. Well, you can just tie your Siloam pool in with that.
Absolutely. And once again, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. We're going to cut loose here. And everybody have a good day. Remember to subscribe. We are up to, I think, over 24,000 and going up. So everybody appreciate that. And we're going to continue have interesting archaeologists like Dr. David Graves on the program. So stick with us as we start to actually go to different locations. Next one coming up, I had to finish your book, Dr. Jody Magnus.
Good.
I think she's going to be next week. And I said, oh, before I have you on the program, because she just, of course, finished the book. And so I said, I can't have you on the program if I don't read your book. So let me read the book first, or I won't know what to ask.
Sounds
So,
good.
all righty. And don't forget, Dr. Graves' books right here, man. We got a ton of them. And these videos, this makes it difficult, but the videos are up on this one. It says Jesus Speaks to 7 Churches, and all 7 videos are up. BibleInteract.com. Let's see, and it's Biblical Archaeology from the Ground Down. And Jesus Speaks to 7 Churches, and Dr. Graves uses his PowerPoints and takes us to each one of these locations. And also a complimentary book. So you get the book. The videos are already online for you. All right, folks, you have a great day. Dr. Graves, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Maybe with you.